Hi, and welcome to this video, which is on the two paths of pain. So pain is kind of normal in life, and if you remember from the Managing Emotions video, we talk about A, B, C, D, E, and the thing we're going to talk about is the A, and really ultimately the choices that happen in us when we're choosing how to respond to an activating event. So when something painful happens, when there is a painful event, we have a choice, right? We've got a set of beliefs that we can follow, and if we're not careful, we'll end up following the one that creates more pain in the world. And so this video is primarily about just showing you the choice that you can make to choose a path of resolution versus the path of revenge. So really the first kind of path that most people are aware of and practice is the path of revenge. And if you've watched any movie that is kind of one of those shoot 'em up type movies, John Wick is a great example of this, where essentially, the very first John Wick, if you've watched it, painful event, this guy, this really capable killer has retired, his wife died and bought him a dog, and he's just loving that dog, and that's really the only thing keeping him kind of human, keeping him present, keeping him alive. And somebody makes the rather regrettable mistake of killing his dog. And that is why we have John Wick 1, 2, and 3, and probably 4, 5, 6 coming down the road. And it's all about this path of revenge. It's a fabulous example. So if you want to know what exactly it looks like in a worst case scenario, that's kind of what happens with John Wick. And so this path of revenge is simply saying, you hurt me, this bad thing happened, and therefore somebody's got to pay, right? I've experienced this hurt or this loss, and somebody's got to pay, right? Somebody is like, I'm hurting here, I need to pass this on somehow. And so we think of then some sort of form of revenge. And so when we choose to go down the path of revenge, then there is some sort of kind of getting back at or choosing to try to teach them a lesson, or nobody can take advantage of me, and so I'm going to go hammer them or whatever. And it can be small things, right? Somebody didn't put away their dish, and so now you're not going to do their laundry, right? So because you have the capacity to kind of impose a negative outcome in another part of their life, you can actually do that. And this happens in office buildings, it happens at home, where small slights can be kind of revenged against. Somebody didn't refill the toner on the copy machine, right? And so now you're not going to put the paper in when it runs out, right? Lots of little things like that. Or, somebody spread a rumor about you, and you're going to spread a counter rumor, or you're going to try to find out a way to get them fired. Or in the home, your child does something that you don't like, and so we can now punish them. Punishment actually is kind of a flavor of revenge, because the point of punishment is to teach a lesson, to basically trade pain for pain. The whole justice system is set up to minimize the amount of pain we cause people, but it's really all about administering pain ultimately. So if you need another example, the criminal justice system and most of what we call the justice system is a path of revenge kind of thing. And so really the only outcome that's possible on a revenge path is you're going to be basically passing on your pain. Right? You've experienced the pain, and by golly, somebody else is going to too. Right? And so now you've got this reality that when we cause pain to other people, we actually don't experience any reduction in pain ourselves. The pain doesn't become less as a result of causing pain. And you've heard people say things like, if you're going to take revenge, you'd better dig 2 graves, one for you and one for the other person. Or revenge is like, and anger and resentment is like taking poison and hoping the other person will die. And the reality is this just leads to more pain. This can be turned inward as much as outward, right? So when we see people doing self-harm or getting kind of stuck in addiction or suicidal behavior or other things, there is some elements of this in this. Of course, there are significant mental health challenges and all of that kind of can live over here. And so I don't want to minimize that. However, that is kind of the part of the response to pain that those behaviors live in. And so it is really about kind of trying to escape the pain by causing pain. And that is ultimately just going to create more pain. So what's a more helpful path? What's a more hopeful path is to take the path of resolution. So the path of resolution is essentially a path that is about, okay, this pain has happened, so we're not denying the existence of the painful event. This isn't an avoidance thing. This isn't pretending it didn't happen or ignoring that the impact is real. In fact, this particular path treats this event as more important than that one, because that one only addresses the forward-looking punishment side of things or causing more pain in the world, whereas this one explores both what happened, the relationships involved, and what do we need to move forward. So resolution can involve a whole bunch of different things, right? It can involve grief, right? When something important goes wrong, we do need to grieve that. Even if something small goes wrong, we can grieve it and just take that moment to let it go, which is another thing we can do to kind of resolve something, is let it go, or we can go through some sort of process, right? Some sort of healing process. And a healing process is essentially dealing with my pain. You have this opportunity when the pain arrives to say, you know what, I can actually deal with this. I am going to try to figure out a way through this and kind of maybe get some support and maybe kind of confront the other person about their impact that they're having with justice-seeking kinds of things, where we actually go out there and say, hey, this was not cool, this was not okay, we need to kind of deal with this in some meaningful way. And all of this can, with effort and all that sort of thing, result in your pain being dealt with in some important way. And ultimately what this means is that there is less pain in the world. And so you can see why this might be the preferred method, certainly in important places in your life, whether it's home or work or your faith community or your broader community. When you deal with the actual source of the pain, so we're talking kind of a restorative justice sort of healing and amends making and responsibility taking stuff over here. So if you're thinking about kind of broader society again and want a big picture of this, we actually have a very good contrast right now in the United States around the anger and pain that was triggered by the death of George Floyd. And clearly there are some people that are going over here, right? And you see police stations being burned, and you see a lot of pain being created, and you know, businesses looted, and people getting shot, and all sorts of terrible things that just create more pain in the world. And then you've got people out there who are protesting peacefully and trying to confront the origin of the pain in a way that will create an opportunity for change. They want to see justice. They want to see meaningful change inside the police methodology for working with their community and the people in their that they need to intervene with and kind of hold to account for what's going wrong. And so when we look at those, we can see, oh wow, I really sympathize with these people. I want more of this. I like that people are doing this, and it just bothers me that people are doing this. Right? So unlike a movie like John Wick, where this is kind of, you know, it's entertaining to watch the train wreck of this behavior, when it's actually our lives on the line and our communities on the line, this is what we really appreciate. This is what drives change in communities. And this is where you'll see some of those really important kind of historical figures like Gandhi and like Martin Luther King and others who have simply demanded, this is not a weak path, they have demanded that we address this thing, right? And so this actually takes a fair bit of strength. It takes kind of the big I to show up, your resourced self, your grown adult person, whereas this is usually a parade of little I's and strategies that have been shown over time to not work. So again, thinking about your own personal life, thinking about what's going on for you in your life, which path of pain do you choose? How often are you choosing to go down the path of revenge? Thinking of fantasies of violence and aggression and winning, and really just only resulting in greater pain. And how often are you saying, you know what, I want to resolve this. I want this to be dealt with because it matters to me. This hurt is important and I need to deal with it. And I would encourage you to begin to think during this next day after you watch this, to pay attention. What path am I choosing? It's a pretty obvious when you think about it. Am I choosing a path of resolution that will build relationship and provide healing, or am I choosing a path of pain that will cause harm in my relationships to myself and to others? Thanks for watching the video. Again, we're going to pause this and just take some time to consider those questions.